We were pretty famous back in high school. Trust us!
Had a whole future ahead of us, but now we suck.
All that potential now is flowing in the aqueducts.
Through the sands of time, many did forget.
But now our time has come to resurrect. But a podcast?
Sad I know, but can you blame us?
We are desperate to be much more than high school famous.
You got something today? I think you said you had something that I
got
took
something
away.
that might take a chunk of the time.
Oh, good. That's what we try to do here.
It's about quantity, not quality.
It's about cranking them out, whether you ask for it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So enjoy that. Enjoy the amount.
High School Famous.
Welcome.
Is that our opening today?
Nope, I've got one.
Oh, cool.
Welcome to High School Famous. The system has failed us, and it's time to take the law into our own hands. I hope you realize that we might not make it out of this, so if you have anything to say to me, you'd better say it now.
How has the system failed us?
It's just not working.
It's not working.
No.
Okay.
It's clearly keeping the rich rich and keeping the poor poor and the disenfranchised disenfranchised. It's a failing system. It's designed to benefit a few and barely maintain a thread of hope for the rest of us.
So this podcast falls on the poor side of things?
Yes.
Okay.
By a large margin.
Large margin.
Large marge. And we're nowhere near the rich side of things.
Okay.
So that's what I've got to say about that.
Cool. Well,
I'm Sean.
Oh yeah, and I'm Matt. So we'll briefly touch on if we had mentioned it last week that we were going to be on an episode with Apropos of Nothing podcast.
We did.
That we recorded that. I think it was the day after we recorded last week's episode. We recorded with them.
Yep, we recorded that on a Monday,
and it was a good time. And they released that I think Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. It
somewhere around there,
out or somewhere around Wednesday at some point.
I think I noticed it on Wednesday.
Yeah. So if you haven't checked that out, go check out that episode of Apropos of Nothing podcast, episode number 616.
The best.
It was a good time.
Yep.
Fun. And they are going to be joining us for an episode. I believe we're going to be having that as next week's episode. They're going to come and record with us on the 12th. So we'll be releasing that on Valentine's Day.
Aww.
So hopefully you guys like that.
Yeah, it was a fun episode. It was a long episode, so if you like a lot of us, their episodes typically run about 2 hours. Ours pushed about 2 3/4.
Yep.
So
we were with them on Discord for about 4 hours.
Yeah.
Chatting and whatnot, and
flew by.
It was a long session, and but it was a good time. It was a fun time. They're a fun group of people to chat with. So
now, Matt, I've got some bad update on my condition. So I'll just tell you right now.
Mm-hmm.
I broke my arm in 2 places.
Oh yeah.
So then I went to the doctor, and I told the doctor I broke my arm in 2 places, and she told me to stop going to those places.
And that was your dad joke of the week, I assume.
It's funny and it's progressive because the doctor is a woman, and I'm all about moving humanity forward.
Oh, I thought you were like, I'm all about women doctors.
I'm all about women doctors. Give me a full.
If only they
physical.
existed.
If only. What?
Women don't exist.
You know, I picked that joke, but I secretly have purchased for my son and I coming this September tickets to something called Brickfest. It's like a Lego convention type of a thing, and they're just like flooding my inbox with emails about wanting me to buy these exclusive little packs of Lego minifigures and all this kind of crap. But
yeah,
there was a joke in one of the emails which I thought, hey, this is better than anything in the calendar. So
we get
joke
2
of the
for
day.
This week.
I know, 2 for this week. Police officer says, I'm arresting you for illegally downloading the entire Wikipedia. And the man says, wait, I can explain everything.
Nice.
I
got it.
Because, right. So that suggests that not only did he illegally download the entire Wikipedia, he has memorized it.
Yeah. Also, trying to figure out why would it be illegal to download Wikipedia?
I don't know. And especially, why would you want to do that? Because Wikipedia is like a live document or a living document, they call
constantly
it. So
updating.
that's like people at work that will, there's like, your online handbook on how you're supposed to do things, but they insist on printing it all out and putting it in a binder. Like that's easier for them to access the same exact information, but only anytime there's a change, they have to then reprint the new page with the new information.
Well, and isn't like sometimes those documents you can search within them usually,
you
can't
can search
you?
within
Like you
them.
can like search a key phrase and it'll bring you to that part.
Yep, you can search within them. They're flooded with links to other, if it says like, oh, go to this screen, and then there's always something that says show me, and then you can click on it and it shows you like an image of what that screen looks like, so you know you're on the right screen.
Right.
All that kind of stuff, not accessible on a printed page.
Right.
But
that's like purchasing encyclopedias. Like it's pointless. Yes, a lot of the information in the encyclopedias won't change because it's like history basically, but it's like
because we're stubborn.
Stuff's constantly still happening.
Right.
So you're gonna constantly have to get new volumes all the time.
Well, that's the business. That's the encyclopedia business right there.
Well, I don't believe the encyclopedia business exists anymore. At least not hard copy.
The Wikipedia business, thriving.
Right.
Although they're always like, annually, they're asking for money. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not, you don't get charged to be part of it. So it's like NPR. You do fundraisers to keep it going, keep it free.
Do you think that there is any bit of encyclopedia business anymore? I know that's not like door-to-door encyclopedia sales people.
I'm sure online, but it's like at that point, Wikipedia exists. Why does encyclopedia need to exist?
I don't know. Maybe some people just feel more comfortable with getting their information from an encyclopedia versus the scary new Wikipedia. What's a wiki? I'm afraid.
I feel like that generation of people is dying out.
They are correct.
Yeah.
There are going to be some. Do you think that hipsters are real big on hard copy encyclopedias versus using Wikipedia? Because Wikipedia itself seems like maybe like a hipstery thing to be involved in.
I think hipsters are too worried about making sure that that they listen to the best and coolest music.
Yeah.
I don't think they're super worried about encyclopedias.
Right. And they always have a wide selection of bow ties and suspenders.
Mm-hmm. And they know the best coffee shops.
Oh, yeah. Which I don't drink coffee, so I guess I'll take their word for it and trust their opinion. I'm not going to do my own research and go, actually, my bedroom is the best coffee house. Beans. Hey, I already gave you 2 jokes. What more do you want?
We've discussed this, Sean. You're supposed to bring the funny. I bring the
pre-written
facts.
by someone else stuff.
I bring facts.
You bring the stuff that someone else wrote, and I have to riff off of that. Real balance.
We both riff off of it.
Real balance to this show is.
Well, it's, we each have to have a role to play.
Right.
And I was smart enough to jump in and take the role of the guy who doesn't have to try to be funny.
And now I do all the cooking and the cleaning and making sure
you're the woman if women existed.
So what are you saying? Are you saying that that's what women are supposed to do? All the
I'm just
cooking
saying
and the cleaning?
Well, historically,
and the raising of the children?
Historically, that's what was said about women when they existed.
So they did exist.
Since they no longer exist, since they're no longer real. I
thought you or we, I don't know where we are with this, but I thought that
us.
The you us or the us?
The me us.
The me us. So you or the Matt. I always thought your take on your stance was that women just never existed, but now you're saying
they had to exist at one point.
So why don't women exist now? There are babies being born. I've been there. I'm in the room.
That was a hologram run by the government to make you believe that women were real when they really aren't.
And this is why the system is broken.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we have to take matters into our own hands.
It's a conspiracy theory, Sean, which leads us into what I brought today, which is talking about conspiracy theories.
Whoa! Did you go to broadcast school since our last episode?
No,
this is like next level.
That just super happened to get to work its way into a.
But to be able to like pick that up out of the conversation and weave it in, that's. I'm telling you, you might have you should be able to actually officially just print out a degree and frame it and hang it on your wall now.
I'd rather just have the digital copy of it. It's easier to access, and if
something changes, right? Yeah, it knows when to. Yeah, I see you. I see you. Then get a digital picture frame that has Wi-Fi capabilities to just project the
most updated version,
and it updates automatically. It's not like the old school digital picture frames where you slap in a SD card with preloaded images.
Stuff in.
Slap it in. Well, that's what usually the directions.
Slap it in and slap it on.
Slap it on, slap it in, slap it out. Dude, it's been in there too long. Just slap it out.
I've never once seen you slap anything out.
It's been in there too long.
You're like, once it's in, it's in. I don't want it out.
No, you're like, you know what? I think I forgot to set a timer on those muffins. I think they've been in there too long. Better slap them out. Because it's a quick motion. You want them to get them out fast so they don't burn. You don't want to gingerly.
Yeah, because so much heat. Extra 4 seconds could cause unbelievable burns.
Unbelievable burns.
Unless you don't have an oven mitt and you don't want to just grab the pan with your hands. You just want to give it a quick slap so it doesn't burn you.
Yeah, you should see my kitchen floor. It's
I have
Char
seen
City
your kitchen floor.
Oh yeah, you helped with that. You slapped some things out on the floor.
Yep.
You're like, I'm
just glad your son wasn't there.
My enchiladas. Oh, slap.
We did not make enchiladas,
Big
Sean.
rectangular shaped burn mark
pizza.
on the floor.
And we used your pizzazz.
Yes.
Sean is, for the record, Sean is a huge advocate for the pizzazz. If anybody still knows what that relic is.
Somehow.
Do they still make those things?
Yes, I've replaced it a couple times. Somehow, Josh, our friend Josh from high school, he's has his original pizzazz, like has not ever needed to replace it, and the tray still looks decent. I think I think what it means is, and I found this out. He
has a stay-at-home wife.
Yes, that's true. But I learned long after making let's just step back for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So in college, everyone, I made a promotional video for the Pizzaz. In this video, I made all these claims that you should be making all of these types of dishes on it, or things, chicken nuggets, cookies, taquitos, pizza, things like that. I came to learn later that it's really only supposed to be used to make pizza.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're only making pizza on it, which I think Josh is what he uses it for, is only pizza, it's going to have that evenly, completely covered tray with the pizza crust.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're making small, more localized things on it, like pizza rolls or taquitos or things like that, you'll have these little spots of like where oils and greases and stuff get on it and maybe burn it a little bit in those little spots, and you got to scrub that off and scrape that. When you make pizza rolls, the contents often ooze out onto the surface. So that all has to get like scraped off, and it just like the tray gets worn down very quickly over time. But I think if you strictly use it to make pizza, and most of the tray is just underneath most of the tray is covered up with just pizza crust, you don't have those. You don't have to scrape a lot of stuff off of the tray. So I think the tray lasts a lot longer by using the Pizzaz as intended. And I don't think I've been doing that.
You should probably put down tinfoil before you cook things other than a pizza on it. Put tinfoil, wrap the thing in tinfoil.
I could try that.
It would be way easy.
You want to hear about something
also, so you don't scrape it off all the time. Let the thing soak in a little bit of water for a while so everything kind of loosens up.
Well, what I would do
and
is
then wash it off gently.
what I would do is, as it was still hot, I would use like an oven mitt or something and pick it up and put it in the sink and like spray it with hot water to try to rinse off as much as I could without having to scrape. But I still think just using it the way I was to cook something other than pizza is just a bad idea.
Yeah, probably.
You want to hear something really dumb I did a long time ago?
Of course.
You know, if you cook pizza in an oven and you don't use some sort of round pizza tray, you know, it's easy to have cheese drip off the edge and fall through the grates and onto the bottom of the oven and like burn the bottom of the oven, right? So I thought it'd be a good idea to lay a layer of tinfoil down on the bottom of the oven, and that didn't go well.
I mean, you can do that. It's just you still have to leave space for, you have to leave the little vents open on the bottom where the heat comes through.
Well, whatever I did, some of the tinfoil got like burned onto the bottom of the oven.
Oh.
So I learned that the hard way. And because I thought you use tinfoil in ovens all the time. Nothing happens to it.
Yeah.
But this, I guess.
Probably better off putting tinfoil on the, like wrapping the shelf that's underneath the shelf you're using for the pizza. So if anything drips down, it just lands there.
Yeah, I thought about that afterward because, but I don't know if that would have had the same effect. If it just would have got burned to the tray.
No.
It's hard to say.
Shouldn't have.
It's hard to say.
Just take it off each time and use new tinfoil. If you leave the same tinfoil in over and over and over and over again, it'll probably deteriorate over time. And
I don't remember if I think I was taking it out and throwing it away. It was a long time ago. I don't remember.
This was pre-Pizzaz.
Oh no, this was post-Pizzaz.
Why were you cooking pizza in an oven after owning a Pizzaz? Were you cooking multiple pizzas?
This is when we were making like two pizzas at once. So I couldn't have
two Pizzazes.
So I couldn't have put like tinfoil down on the second tray because it would have had a pizza on it. So I was laying it on the bottom just to try to catch all of it that might drip over the edge.
I use a pizza tray.
Yeah, how does that work? Like you have to have to
put
increase
a pizza on it.
No, I'm not asking about how do you place pizza on a tray. I mean, you didn't let me finish. Do you have to increase the cooking time? So does the crust take longer to cook when you use a tray?
I wouldn't say it takes longer. I think it
just takes more time.
It cooks a little differently, I think. So it like might not get as crispy. Maybe it'll be a little bit of a softer crust.
But if you wanted to try to achieve crispier crust, you could leave it in for a little bit longer.
Leave it in longer or bump the heat up a little bit more. But I typically don't cook pizza based on the cook times it tells you to. I don't typically preheat the oven or anything. I just basically throw the pizza in, turn it on.
Do you slap it in?
And then like I put the timer on for the amount of time it says to cook it so that I check it around that time. Since I don't preheat the oven, I know it won't be fully done at that point, but then I can kind of, over the next few minutes after that, just watch it till the cheese gets to the desired brown or meltedness.
Okay, here's a question. You're cooking something in the oven. Let's say you got some fish fillets, or let's say you have a cookie sheet full of French fries, or whatever the case may be. It always has a small range of time. Cook for 19 to 21 minutes. Cook for 17 to 20 minutes. Something like that. Do you always start with the minimum, or you just jump to the maximum, or do you just go halfway? You split the difference?
I do the minimum first and then check to see how it looks. And then at that point, I'm like, okay, I'll give it a couple extra minutes, and then I'll check it again. And
Schmott. That's what I do too. But I'm just like,
now I typically do that kind of stuff in the air fryer.
Oh, you got an air fryer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someday I will just, someday I will just, bite the bullet and,
I want to buy a new one. I want to buy a better one than the one I got, because I bought just kind of a cheap one just to see how it would work. And it's fine. It's great. But I want like a bigger one, better one where they got ones where you can have like two different things cooking at the same time, and
like at different settings and stuff.
Yeah.
I have an Instant Pot, and you can get like an air fryer lid for it. But I've heard that it doesn't compare to buying like a dedicated air fryer. It doesn't compare. So I don't think I would go as far as getting the lid. Because I would imagine if I did, I would eventually just buy an air fryer not long after that, and then have no use for this lid. I've heard nary a bad thing about an air fryer.
Yeah, they're great because they're a little faster.
Healthier.
Obviously, yeah, a little bit healthier as far as like because I'll get like frozen chicken drumsticks or whatever, chicken wings, and then just thaw them out and season them however you want, and you pop them in there, and they get nice and crispy. As opposed to like in the oven, they probably wouldn't really get super crispy.
So
So it gives
you can't cook from frozen in one of those. You have to thaw things out.
But
okay.
I could cook from frozen. It would take longer, and it doesn't take much. It doesn't take very long to thaw out.
No, I was just asking if you could or not.
Yeah, I just let it soak in some hot water.
Yeah,
but because I like to pre-season my stuff, and you can't really season frozen chicken.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So
yeah, I don't know much about the world of seasoning. I've got. Here's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
I recently upgraded my little salt and pepper situation with those little grinders.
Yep.
Yeah, and now I've got that. I showed you that octopus salt and pepper shaker holder, and with the pre-pepper, the pre-ground salt and pepper in there.
Yep.
Don't use them anymore.
I mean, it's still useful for like, I need to add a little bit of pepper or salt like at the table or something while I'm eating.
Well, bring those things to the table, the little things.
Oh, see, I would just the only time I ever use the pepper grinder is seasoning while cooking. So I don't. I've never have I sat down at the table and been like, need to put more pepper or salt on this.
Well, that's the thing. So, I don't like pre-season anything. Well, I mean, I'll put in whatever a recipe might call for. But if I make some mashed potatoes or something, I just serve those up, and then I add salt and pepper to my own serving of it.
Well, I'll have to come over sometime, and I'll teach you a few things.
This is gonna be the most like oddly domesticated visit if we've ever had. If we do this,
and that will be the only reason I come over. Like we won't record nothing.
Oh.
I'm just gonna come over and teach you. Now, when you're saying when you make mashed potatoes, what kind of mashed potatoes are you making here? Are we talking instant mashed potatoes, or are we talking you boil some potatoes and you're making them from scratch?
Well, I have done that a couple times, but usually it's you just buy the tray that has. You're just heating up already mashed potatoes.
Okay.
Yeah, not like I'm buying like the powder stuff that you add liquid to not that either. It's like,
that's probably what that stuff is when you're heating up.
Oh, it's just,
I'm sure it's the powdered shit that,
Oh, okay.
We'll talk. Very rarely will I do mashed potatoes at home from like a pouch or a box or like the Bob Evans freaking microwavable mashed potatoes or anything like that. It's it's usually always from scratch.
Well, listen, look at you, Mr. Chef.
Well, it's one of the easiest things you can make. You just boil potatoes, mash them up, add butter, add salt, pepper, anything else that you want to add into there. Sour cream sometimes.
No, like
milk here and there.
I agree. I'm capable of making them. You know,
I didn't claim you weren't. I was just curious.
I just find myself going, hey, you know what? This bag of frozen vegetables, microwave them. Great. This little tray of already made mashed potatoes, slap them in this pan and heat them up. This other thing
that's the thing. I think that's another thing too about like, you're living alone most of the time. Occasionally you're, here and there you have your son. Like half the time you have your son.
Yeah,
so
let's be clear.
You're eating by yourself like 50% of the time. So it's like, you're not going to sit down and be like, all right, let's boil these potatoes. Let's get this steak seasoned and in the oven. And
the funny thing is when I started, even before I moved out and like lived on my own, like when I was still living separately in the shared house, I was like, in the tiny basement. When I was still living in my tiny basement. Now I don't even have a basement to speak of. So size take size out of the equation. There's just no basement whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I should use this time to like learn how to cook and just try out recipes, because that was one of my big I don't know if it's an excuse or a legit like reason to not try things out. Was it's like, well, if I try cooking out and screw something up, that's money and a meal that's like wasted for a family. Whereas I'm like, hey, it's just me, so I should try things out. I should look up recipes and try cooking different things. Yeah, I've nope, not so much.
Yeah, it's when I'm by myself, I tend to eat like a raccoon.
Garbage?
Yeah,
Like-
I just
like
eat
literal
the
trash?
trashiest crap.
Like you open up your trash can and go, you know what? This is something I threw away, but it's probably still good.
No, I mean, my fridge will look like a trash can at that point. I will
Soggy
just have
crackers.
the most garbage food. Like, I will literally go shop for myself and just buy the trashiest food imaginable.
Oh,
And it's just like, cause I don't want to put the effort into it. You know, it's like, oh, yeah, I could eat really well if like make this thing and, you know, eat good. But I'm like, when I get home, I'm tired. I just want to make something as simple as possible. So it's like, oh, I'll buy chicken nuggets. I'll buy corn dogs. I'll,
yeah.
Macaroni and cheese is simple to make. But depending on, if you get the microwavable kind,
Well, you
or
probably make it
whatever.
from scratch because that's how you make everything.
No, I've made macaroni and cheese from scratch a few times, and I think only like once or twice has it turned out really good. There's let's get on a macaroni and cheese rant for a second because I'm very particular about my mac and cheese. There's the baked mac and cheese.
I'm aware.
You have your own things about one time how I made mac and cheese.
I'll tell a story about that afterward.
I think we've told that story.
Really?
Probably.
About how I screwed up mac and cheese when I was trying to cook for someone else?
Yes.
Oh,
I believe
okay.
we've told that story on here.
Okay, then I won't.
But
I don't have
there's
many
the
stories.
baked mac and cheese
Yep,
type of people, and then there's the stovetop mac and cheese type of people.
sure.
So baked mac and cheese is a much drier mac and cheese. Stovetop would be more of a creamy mac and cheese. I am 100% creamy mac and cheese all the way. I hate a dry mac and cheese. It can have a good flavor, but it's just I just don't like a dry mac and cheese. And especially when you use it, and it depends on the type of cheese you use, because a drier mac and cheese is more of just like you're putting shredded cheese on top of it. It melts in, and that's got a grittier feel to it.
Right.
Versus a creamy mac and cheese obviously has a creamier feel to it. So
It's because
don't
it's
remember
using
where
a-
I was going with this.
It's because it's using a cheese powder that gets mixed in with the milk and butter mixture.
Not necessarily. So yeah, if you're doing like a craft macaroni and cheese from a box, yeah, that's a cheese powder that you're adding milk and butter to. But if you're doing like a stovetop mac and cheese, you're adding real cheese to it, but then you're also probably adding like cream cheese into it, or you're doing heavy whipping cream or something like that to make it creamier.
And are any of these things not possible in a baked version of mac and cheese? Can you not just sort of...
You can do those same things in a baked mac and cheese, but because you're baking it, it dries it out a lot more. Typically, you can still get a creamy mac and cheese in a bake, but it tends to be drier in the end.
Well, let's say, can you do anything like, if you make a pie and you eat a pie, you usually throw on some Cool Whip or something on top or some ice cream with it, and just to kind of...
Yeah, but
give it some
macaroni and cheese has never been great with Cool Whip or ice cream.
No, I'm not suggesting you use either of those things. Although, don't knock it until you try it. I'm not going to say I know how that would be. But some of these things that you're talking about adding to stovetop mac and cheese to give it a creamier texture and taste, could you slap those things on after the bake is done, just as like a topping that you end up mixing in with it as you eat it?
Probably not.
You got to slap it on if you do it, though. Slap it on.
Yeah, I don't foresee adding something at the end to make it creamier later. It'd be weird. I think there would be a disconnect if it's not cooked with it.
Huh.
I don't know. I could be completely off base, but that's my experience, at least. So as we were saying, conspiracy theories.
Yes.
So we got off the topic 20 minutes ago.
I forget why or how, but here we are.
We started talking about the Pizzaz somehow.
Who cares? We can. Why sit here and try to figure out how we got on it now when I can just listen to it when the episode comes out and then remember how,
right?
Versus waste airtime.
But then by the time you got to this point of us asking how did we get there, you'll probably have forgotten already from listening back how we got here.
Yeah, but I can just rewind if I really care.
True.
I can't rewind this real conversation.
Yeah, you can't TiVo life.
No.
Anyways, so I found 16 crazy conspiracy theories that some people actually believe in.
Well, don't
Sean.
don't some people believe in any conspiracy theory?
I would say,
Like, I don't
for the
think
most part, probably yes.
I don't think that there are conspiracy theories that exist that nobody believes in, because otherwise they wouldn't exist.
I mean, we could make some up right now that we don't even really believe in.
The moon landing
Yeah.
was I don't know.
Good stuff. Well,
it was real, but we didn't land on the moon for real. It was someone else. It was
I mean, that's probably already a conspiracy theory.
It was a dog family.
It's probably already something that exists.
And people believe it.
Because there's a conspiracy theory out there, Sean, that the moon isn't even real.
The moon isn't real? Is this one of your examples?
Yeah, I don't know if it's in this list, but I remember seeing that one where the moon is just like a hologram or some shit. It's fucking ridiculous. All right.
Okay.
So, number 1 on this list, there are chemicals in the water that are turning people gay. Conspiracy theorist and radio host Alex Jones, if you're familiar with him, he's a fucking nut job, is famous for his unbelievable theories as well as public statements that many wouldn't agree with. Apart from being an anti-vax, pro-gun, and a believer that government actually controls the weather, he also claimed that the government is putting chemicals in the water that are turning people into homosexuals. He later changed his theory by saying that the chemicals, also known as the gay bomb, is even turning frogs gay.
Whoa. Now, the first question I have is, are these chemicals responsible for 100% of the homosexual population? Or is this just turning some people gay and some people are just gay for some other reason, quote unquote?
I think the chemicals are just turning non-gay people gay.
Oh, and so
there are people that are naturally gay, but the chemicals give additional gay to the world. That's a sentence.
Yeah. Chemicals give additional gay to the world. So some people are naturally gay, so they're naturally sinners and what do you call it? I'm just going off of the religious opinion, not my own. Something that this Alex Jones probably feels, right? So if that exists and it's also so evil and bad and none of those people are going to make it into heaven, why would the government try to create more people that are...
So the conspiracy around what the gay bomb was supposed to be was the government was creating a gay bomb that they wanted to use on our enemies. So that in a war situation, because they would, if they turned gay, then maybe they wouldn't be inclined to fight back. I'm not exactly sure what their thought process was behind that, but that's essentially what the quote unquote gay bomb was supposed to do.
They're trying to reduce the aggression and make the enemy dainty and fragile.
I think that was the thought at the time of like, yeah, I think it was just like the government had this preconceived notion of what gay people would be like. So therefore, if we turn the enemy gay, I think it was along the lines of they'll be more interested in having sex with each other than fighting us.
All right.
I think essentially is what it would come down to. It's batshit crazy.
So, but we know that a lot of heterosexual males who are perhaps insecure are, one of the issues that they might have with being around gay men is that they're worried that these gay men are going to try to hit on them or trying to make an advance on them.
That's one of the funniest fucking things.
Right? So if you are turning a large group of men that are already like after us gay, wouldn't there be a huge fear that they're just gonna
super after us now?
they're just gonna invade just to try to have sex with us?
Yeah. At that point, a lot of those guys would be like, "What's worse, dying in war, or
Dying
fighting
another
guys
way."
off that are trying to have sex with us?" It's like this wouldn't end them from killing the enemy. It would just they would still just now it'd be turn into a hate crime instead of a war crime.
Well, maybe the idea is that, you're like they're saying, they wouldn't be so concerned with war and conquering and things like that. It's more about, how well their uniforms fit. And, they would all just, the military itself would disappear and they would just have a giant fashion show.
Sean knows a lot about the gay community.
So
I'll put that out there.
My question is, how is this bad?
How is the gay bomb bad?
If you can eliminate war by turning all the men gay, I mean, I've never heard anyone that wouldn't think that no more wars is a bad idea, or it wouldn't think it's a good idea. So let's try it out. Let's do away with war by turning any man who would want to go to war with another country gay using this gay bomb. I think it's worth a shot. I think let's take the gay bomb. And let's slap it on those dudes. Now, does it have the same effect on women? Because women, if they existed, in theory, would be allowed in the military now. Maybe not at the time when this gay bomb was being invented by the government.
Right.
But now, women can be all up in that military.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not sure if it only affects men or if it also affects women.
Well,
I have
I can
no idea.
guarantee you, if such a bomb exists, since the change that allowed women to serve in the military came to be, scientists have developed a version. It's called the les bomb.
Right.
Yeah, and so that has to exist.
Well,
to turn
technically,
straight women.
the gay bomb doesn't actually exist, so the les bomb probably doesn't exist as well.
What are you talking about? You don't believe?
Of course, I don't believe.
You're not. Are you serious? Look at the evidence.
Also,
look at the evidence.
Also, the conspiracy that we were talking about was chemicals in the water. So what worries me is that
you started calling it a gay bomb.
Well, because it's referenced in here.
No, I know that.
If they're putting chemicals in the water, because he's making claims that they're putting chemicals in our water to turn our people gay.
But if the whole idea was to,
good does that do? Now, if somebody attacks us, according to this crap, we're not going to be able to fight back.
If the original idea was to turn the enemy gay to make them less aggressive and more demure, why use it on good old red-blooded
like any
American
good
men?
conspiracy theory, it has no grounds and no logic behind it.
Sure.
So
okay. So this was never in the form of a bomb, like that you like it's some sort of gaseous. You drop it in the ground amongst enemy troops, and it goes off, and there's just like a gas in the air that they all breathe in.
Well, I don't know
gay.
exactly what type of bomb it was, but there was apparently talks of developing a gay bomb. Like that, apparently, like that part of it is possibly not a conspiracy theory. I believe the government was attempting to make something along those lines.
Gotcha. So Einstein had to make a choice.
Einstein was probably dead before
Einstein's like, do I want to put my efforts toward the development of the gay bomb? We call it the G bomb for short.
Or the A bomb.
Or the A bomb.
Maybe he was supposed to be doing the gay bomb, but something spilled on his paper covering the G and the A, or G and the Y.
And it just turned
or
into
maybe
the
even
A
just
bomb.
maybe even just the G, because it could still be the A bomb.
The A bomb, AY, yeah. Or by some weird chance, it turned out this could have changed history. Like, imagine if it was called the Atomic Bomb.
I was just thinking with I don't know why, but when I thought the A bomb, I just thought somehow Fonzie was part of it.
A
All right, conspiracy number 2.
Cool.
Avril Lavigne was replaced by a clone named Melissa. I know this one's close to your heart, Sean. You and Avril Lavigne.
Look, hey, Mr. Conspiracy Theorist, I don't know who you are, but I'm with you.
On the Avril thing? Or is that a
take
lyric?
me by the hand. Take me somewhere new.
We have plenty of time to do this.
I don't know
Let me
who
get
you
through
are,
this conspiracy.
but I'm with you.
Why do you have to make things so complicated, Sean?
Look, something skater. I don't know. I know, like
A conspiracy that started on a Brazilian fan website claims that at the beginning of her career, Avril Lavigne used a body double whose name is Melissa. Apparently, the singer passed away back in 2003, and the producers were keen to use Melissa as the new Avril Lavigne. One piece of evidence to this conspiracy theory is the sudden change of Avril's style. The real Avril preferred tomboy looks, and Melissa is definitely more girly. Some fans even believe that there are clues in the songs about Melissa becoming the new Avril, such as the lyric in the song Slip Away, where she sings, "The day you slipped away was the day I found it wouldn't be the same." Couldn't possibly be talking about a guy. There
it has to be about my clone.
There's also a creepy photo of Avril where she has the name Melissa written on her hand. Probably trying to remember something, I would assume. Weirdly enough, this conspiracy theory has more evidence than most other conspiracies in this list. Makes you think.
Yeah, it really does. So it started off by saying it was a clone named Melissa, but then they just said like body double.
Yeah, the title says clone, and then the rest of it's body double.
So we're not suggesting that someone cloned Avril Lavigne with the to prepare for a possible untimely death.
Right.
And then they use that clone. If they did that, why would they not just name the clone Avril Lavigne and not Melissa? So we're going off the idea that there's a body double that was used.
Yeah.
So was this like
a body double clone?
Like a clone?
They cloned the body double.
They cloned.
Yeah,
they cloned Melissa.
They cloned the body. They cloned the body double.
So what they decided to do was they had the technology to clone people, and rather than clone Avril Lavigne herself, they cloned her body double so that if something ever happened in the future to the body double, they could replace the body double with the body double's clone and make sure that every single clone chooses the same style of dress. This has the Beatles written all over it. With fall.
Oh, does it?
This is on that list, I imagine.
Number 3, Paul McCartney was replaced
by someone named Fall or something, or Full. I think there was. I saw actually like a doc on this.
Yep.
And it started off like where some of the stuff they were pointing out, you're like, oh, you know what? Maybe that does kind of make sense. And that does track a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That ended very quickly. And then it got into just like out of this world bonkers territory where you're like,
well, let's read this real quick. Also known as the Paul is dead theory, it claimed that the Beatles' bass guitarist and vocalist actually passed away in 1969 and was replaced by a lookalike.
When actually, we can't predict the future, but it's a good chance that he's going to be like the last surviving Beatle.
Yeah.
Because
it all started with a rumor that Paul McCartney had passed away in a traffic accident, and it later escalated into a theory that the band was trying to hide the fact that Paul is dead. What seemed to be a small theory became a theme of many articles in various newspapers. In 1993, McCartney joked about this theory in his live album titled Paul is Live.
Oh, very clever. That's cool. I like that. Paul is Live.
Yeah.
That makes me think of there's a Queen song called Death on Two Legs, and then Pearl Jam released a live album called Live on Two Legs.
Oh.
No, one of the things
it's exactly the same thing.
Exactly. One of the things that they pointed out was, I think it was in the Sgt. Pepper album, like if you look at the album art inside like the pages or whatever, that there's a picture of the 4 members, but Paul is facing backwards, like you can't see it. You can only see the back of his head.
Yeah.
Then
there's I think there's the Abbey Road one too, where they're crossing the street. There's theories about like, oh, he's the only one that's barefoot, and each person's supposed to represent something different depending on how they're dressed. Like, it's just like, people are ridiculous.
I think they just all put on clothes that they were wearing and went to take a picture of them crossing the street.
They put on clothes that they were wearing.
Right. They put on, they put on the clothes that they were going to wear for the photo. I don't think it's like, hey, John, you're going to wear all white and have long hair and a beard and shoes because you represent hope. And Ringo, you're going to wear a dark suit and shoes, maybe like a dark gray suit and a tie and shoes. Because you're going to
be like a
represent
mortician or death.
You're going to represent a lack of color, even though John, if he's wearing white, is also kind of doing that. That's not what
Hillary's campaign logo is a reference to 9/11.
Hillary who?
Hillary Clinton.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Campaign logo is
Hillary
a reference
Swank.
to 9/11. So Hillary's, if you remember what her campaign logo looked like, it was
been Hillary Duff.
It was an H, kind of with an arrow. So it was like the upright parts of the H were blue, and then the arrow came across the. Yeah, you remember kind of what it looked like. All right.
No, I just know what the letter H looks like, and so I can piece together what you're describing based on my knowledge of the letter H's appearance.
Right. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can.
Okay. Oh, go to a direction. Move it a direction. Other direction. There. Okay.
All right.
So, okay.
So that's what her campaign. So it's it's a reference to 9/11, they say. People all over Twitter believe that Hillary Clinton has something to do with the tragic events of 9/11. Of course, all over Twitter. You may ask, what proof do they have? Well, it's simply because her campaign logo somehow reminds people of 9/11. It's because we were told to never forget. The theory spread after one newspaper noticed the odd similarities and posted the logo on Twitter. Although many believe it has a hidden meaning, some people couldn't help themselves and pointed out that the logo actually symbolizes, surprisingly enough, the letter H. That stands for her name, Hillary. Simply shocking. So now I'm going to show you. So I showed you the actual logo. Now I'll show you what they drew next to it to make it reference.
You're going to show me the tragic events of 9/11?
So that's what they did to make it look more like.
Gotcha.
They turned the arrow into an aeroplane, and then one of the H's, they added a little spire on top of it to look like the second tower.
Wait a minute. Aeroplane. This is airtight.
This is aerotight.
This is aerotight. I mean, what else could two vertical bars from the letter H mean to represent besides two tall buildings that have been destroyed?
Right.
By an arrow.
And what else could an arrow mean other than a lot of things?
Like, let's move forward, or let's go in a direct. That's it.
Yeah.
Let's go in a direction. Yay, Hillary.
Sean, would you like to hear about poisonous government snow?
I don't have a choice.
All right. This conspiracy theory first became popular in Georgia, where they get a lot of snow, where after 2 inches of snow in Atlanta, people started to notice something rather odd about the way the snow reacted to heat. It melted.
Are you serious?
The video shows people trying to melt the snow with blowtorches, but it simply wouldn't.
With blowtorches?
Yeah. Many people started to believe that this was the way the government was spreading chemicals while pretending it was just frozen water. Like you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
We like to pretend things are frozen water all the time. There's more. Hold on. The reason the government might want to poison the entire state of Georgia were not explained. Many people online jumped into the snow. Wait, no, it doesn't say that. It says many people online jumped to the snow and the government's defense. Oh, weird. Okay.
Yeah, that's a weird way to say that.
That snow turning black instead of melting is an entirely natural phenomenon caused by the same chemical element that fills up a lighter known as butane. But what about the water? Where does it go? Well, the water goes inside the snowball because as the water is melting the snowball is absorbing the water.
Okay. So they are making snowballs and then blowing the snowballs with a blowtorch?
So yeah,
and
they were trying to
black?
melt the snow with a blowtorch and couldn't understand why it wasn't melting.
I mean, to be fair, I would be a little confused if I just blasted a bunch of fire at a snowball and I would be confused as to why it wasn't melting. But I don't think I would jump to the government is poisoning us with fake snow. Or, I'm sorry, fake frozen water.
Mm-hmm. The government's pretending it's just frozen water.
Yeah. Now, why, again, it's something
snow is, yes, it's frozen water, but it's not going to react the same way, say, an ice cube would react when you melt it.
Well, so my question is, maybe you read part of it and I missed it, but it said that it wasn't explained why they were trying to poison the entire state of Georgia.
Yeah.
But was there a popular theory about it that you mentioned or no?
No, they literally said people were starting to believe that they were trying to spread chemicals.
So there was nothing in there about
behind the government. Yeah, the reason behind the government might want to poison the entire state of Georgia were not explained. So nobody could explain like this is why they would be doing it. Everybody's just like they're doing it.
Oh, the snow.
But why?
This frozen water will not melt.
They have no good reason to poison Georgia for no reason.
Yeah, that's completely out of nowhere. Why would you think that there's something very important or dangerous or threatening about Georgia that it would warrant such an attack?
The government just wanted their peaches.
They did. Yeah. There's no other way for them to get them.
It's the peach conspiracy of, did it say a year?
So
it did not.
Because let's say you kill everyone in Georgia for the peaches.
Mm-hmm. For the peaches.
I imagine the use of this poisoned water poison masquerading as frozen water. If you cover the landscape of Georgia in order to kill its inhabitants, you might do some damage to the peaches as well and the trees that grow.
Of course. That's why this didn't pan out. That's why this didn't have any legs.
No legs. But let's say you successfully kill everyone in Georgia, and now you've got the peaches all to yourselves, government. Federal government, I imagine, not like the state government of Georgia.
Oh, of course not. Because it's the federal government that has control over the weather.
Who is going to move in and now be in charge of growing and harvesting these peaches? Because that person would technically then become a resident of Georgia, and then are they supposed to die too?
Well, no, because we've killed off all the people that have possession of the peaches. So now the government can roll in with their tanks and their army trucks, their peach trucks, and they can get all the peaches and keep them for themselves. Then they can hike the peach prices up because now they have a monopoly on peaches.
It's one of our biggest exports.
Well, I mean, just use it for local. Why would we sell them? Why would we export them? This would be to control the peach, control peaches within our own country.
Right, but
let's sell them to our own people at an extraordinary price.
Yeah, but imagine the markup with transporting them overseas to other countries.
Well, yeah,
you could charge so much more per peach. And if peaches are not grown anywhere else, the demand is going to be evergreen. I'd say
true.
You're going to make way more money selling them to other countries outside the U.S. versus strictly selling to the residents of the United States.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
Yeah.
Sean, were you aware that April is the government's blood sacrifice season?
April is a season?
The month of April is the blood sacrifice season.
Yes.
Some people noticed that, oddly enough, a huge amount of tragedies happen during the month of April. According to these people,
I can't wait.
April is actually the government's blood sacrifice season, and during this month, the government performs sacrifices to the demon god Baal.
Demon
God.
Baal?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then later disguises these sacrifices as tragedies. Since many tragedies tend to happen around the same time in mid-April, even CNN has published an article questioning this tragic and unexplainable coincidence. Weirdly enough, mid-April has actually been the period of sacrifice throughout many civilizations, and the cult of Baal used to worship their god of sun and fertility by sacrificing humans and fire. Sacrificing
fire?
Yeah. Conspiracy theorists believe that this horrible tradition is continued by the government in this form of gunfires, explosions, and death.
I have a question. It's a bit concerning. In what month did this 2-inch snowfall in Georgia occur?
It does not give, I don't believe, just it doesn't say.
I would put money
Does
on
not
it being
say.
April.
April's a little late in the year for snowfall in general,
That's
especially
why-
in the southern states.
That's why this is so suspicious,
True.
right? They were kneeling before the ball. They were just kneeling right.
Don't you know it?
They were kneeling right in front of the giant ball after getting hit with the atomic bomb.
Mm-hmm.
They started just worshiping
go.
ball.
Prince Charles is a vampire.
Now, why would they say that, Matt? Why would
I
they
don't
say
know,
Prince
Sean.
Charles?
People seem to believe this theory because according to the genealogy records, Prince Charles might have descended from Vlad the Impaler. Why I had trouble with that just now. Who was the inspiration behind Bram Stoker's Dracula. The prince even appeared in Romanian's National Tourist Office ad where he claimed that Transylvania is in my blood and joked about being the descendant of Vlad the Impaler, which sparked even more conspiracies. Later, in 2017, the prince was offered the title of Prince of Transylvania because of his links to the region and promotion of Transylvania as a tourist destination. All of these facts make many people believe that the prince might actually be a vampire. What makes matters worse is the condition called porphyria, Porphyria.
Porphyria?
Porphyria? Maybe that's right. Porphyria. Common amongst royals, which is caused by iron deficiency and makes the person's skin sensitive to daylight. However, there is no proof that Prince Charles has porphyria. I probably still said it wrong.
Porphyria.
Porphyria.
Yeah. Here's what I don't know much about how the royal family works, but I imagine it's that they are related.
Mm-hmm.
Was Prince Charles married into the family, or was he the son of Queen Elizabeth?
He is the son of Queen Elizabeth.
So would she not also have these same roots to Transylvania or Romania or wherever this Vlad the
unless
Impaler
it
is
came from his father's side.
Okay, right. So that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to see how there's no link with the late Queen Elizabeth to Vlad the Impaler, but maybe it is from his
Like
father's
if she
side.
was also a vampire, maybe she didn't really die. Maybe they finally
She's just
put a
like,
stake through her heart.
or they're like, look, the people are going to catch on. They're going to become wise to your long life, your unnaturally long life. We have to just let the public
Put you
think
in hiding.
that you're dead. You now relinquish power to me, King
Right.
Charles, and this is how we have to do it.
Could be. The moon does not exist.
Oh, okay.
So
Here's
this one
the real
I
meat.
mentioned. This is the one I mentioned earlier. It was on this list.
Yeah.
This is rather simple, yet there is, once again, no real explanation as to why anyone would be interested in continuing such a huge lie for centuries. According to this conspiracy theory, the moon does not exist and is only a hologram created to fool everyone on Earth. There are some videos online that try to prove it, but the evidence is rather weak. Again, this is another one of those why would anyone try to fool anybody into thinking the moon was real or not real? Like,
Yeah,
what's the purpose?
to what end? Like, what are you trying to gain out of tricking everybody into thinking there's this celestial body orbiting the Earth? I don't know.
And also the fact that it's like, oh, they think it's just a hologram. It's like, but there's documented proof of the moon existing way before holograms ever existed.
Yeah.
So what grounds do you have to think this is real? Or is part of the conspiracy that the moon was destroyed at some point and they put a hologram up to fool everybody into believing it still existed?
Yeah, and there was no downtime. There was
it was immediate. Like they destroyed it, but they had the hologram already up and running.
Yep. And no one witnessed the destruction of the moon.
Yeah,
no one
in no way were, the tides affected in any way once the moon was destroyed.
The one thing I know about the moon, and you can back me up on this, is that, no one ever looks at it when it's out. No one ever tracks its like where the phase of the moon. No one keeps track of if it's a full moon, if it's a waxing gibbous or whatever the heck they say, waning gibbous, if it's a crescent moon. Gibbous? Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm suffering from a little porphyria there. So no one ever keeps track of the moon visually. So I can, it's very believable to me that the moon could undergo some sort of massive catastrophic destruction where it gets wiped out of the sky and no one's going to see it. And we also know that eyewitness testimony is like the weakest form of evidence in a case.
Right.
It's the most unreliable form of evidence, of testimony. So anyone can claim they saw the moon get destroyed, but these are probably a bunch of elderly people that live alone, that are bored, and their eyesight isn't very well, and they can't quite remember what time it was or what day it was, and they think it was a green car, but maybe it was a blue car. So I could see this having some validity to it, Matt. And holograms, I think, again, without knowing too much about holograms, they have to be like projected from something. Something has to project a hologram onto something else for it to be seen. Am I correct? Or can holograms just...
I think they can just kind of stand alone.
But where does the image of the hologram come from?
Yeah, probably like some sort of government facility.
But wouldn't someone be able to track it to its source?
You'd think so.
Or did NASA launch
maybe
the apparatus that projects the hologram of the moon into orbit so it follows the moon's orbit, like the natural orbit of the moon?
That makes way more sense.
Yep. And now, I mean, I've heard tell that there are plans again to go to the moon. So
for what?
I don't know. Probably to set up station or set up a military base.
What
develop
else
the G-bomb?
Are we going to find out about the moon that we haven't already found out?
Well,
unless they start drilling down under the surface.
Yeah, they're going to find that secret base that's in there.
Yeah, the nougaty center.
Yeah, full of caramel. Oh,
find out it's really made of cheese.
I've heard that before. That the moon is made of cheese. And I've also heard that the moon hits
Space cows.
Okay, this is weird. Now that I'm thinking about these lyrics, when the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore.
Yeah.
Why are people getting hit in the eye with pizza pies?
When it's people who are not very skilled at, when they throw the pizza dough up to like
sure. They're just tossing
spin it around and stuff. Yeah. And then it hits you in the eye.
Okay. So
and that's love.
That is love. That's you love what you do when you're making pizza.
But the moon has to do it.
Yeah, so
it's not when the pizza hits it. It's like when it's the same as when pizza hits it.
Okay, it's
so
not
it still has to be the moon hitting you in the eye.
It's not love when the pizza dough hits you in the eye. It's when the moon hits you in the eye in the same way.
Yeah.
So if you or someone near you is tossing the moon
like a pizza
to flatten it out, to simulate the shape of our Earth, for example, and it hits you in the eye, that's amore.
That means they love you.
That is intense, passionate.
And for amore. As big as the moon is, for it to just hit you directly in the eye is pretty impressive.
That's how you know it's amore.
Yeah.
That
preciseness.
Well, precision, perhaps also we could call it.
Yeah. I like preciseness.
Yeah, that's why no one has hit you in the eye with the moon.
Well, I can't imagine I'd live through that. I can't imagine the survival rate of getting hit in the eye by the moon.
Well,
is high.
We don't know how hard you're getting hit because it's when it hits you in the eye like a big pizza pie, but we're talking about big for a pizza pie. So, it's just a little slap of the dough, a little slap. You're just taking the moon, you're just slapping it on there. Like, not a lethal force,
right?
Just gentle in an amoring way.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine if it's in space, probably not so bad because the weight of the moon is irrelevant. But if it was like on Earth,
the weight of the moon
is irrelevant, but the mass is not.
Yeah,
You know what? So this is actually, in a way, if we really stick by this theory, you're hitting somebody with a hologram to show that you love them.
True, yeah. So that would maybe just burn your retina.
Yeah, but how do you?
I mean,
toss...
one way or another, real moon or hologram moon, you're losing that eye.
True. But they say love is blind.
Wow, this is all.
This is, you know what? This is the strongest
This is
theory
all coming together.
This is the strongest
like a nice
theory
puzzle.
so far. Yeah, this is the strongest theory so far.
Yeah.
But my question is, how do you toss up a hologram in order to mimic that you're tossing pizza dough?
It's probably in the programming.
They programmed the animation in to you just click you
just have to
activate
hit the pizza pie
tossing
button.
sequence. Yeah. So if we're going off of the idea that when the pizza pie hits your eye, that's when the dough is being tossed. Is it a pizza pie in that stage, or is it just some dough that's being formed into the shape of a pizza that will then get toppings and then baked to become a pizza pie? Is it not? I would argue, when does life begin, Matt, is what I'm asking. When does the life of a pizza begin? Is it at conception? What's the latest stage you can terminate a pizza?
Oh, while it's cooking.
While it's cooking.
So,
But
yeah.
but at what stage? When during the baking
Mhm.
would you say it becomes a pizza and it's no longer
that's
ethical
ultimately the question.
to abort?
Is it a pizza before it goes into the oven, or is it a pizza after it comes out?
Right. That's the
So-
question. That's the unanswerable question. And you know what I say? I don't think it's responsible to leave that choice with these emotional, irrational women. We need to regulate this somehow. I think we need the government to step in and determine when you can and cannot abort a pizza.
See you next Tuesday.
On the moon. Bye.
Bye.
If you have a question, complaint, or threat for Sean or Matt, you can reach us on TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at hsfamouspod, or you can email the show at highschoolfamous@gmail.com. No animals were pleasured during the making of this podcast, despite our best efforts. All hail our Lord and Savior.
Chemicals give additional gay to the world. That's a sentence.
Yeah. Chemicals give additional gay to the world.